Hello everyone, welcome to the When at Work podcast. You're with your host Julian Leahy. Today I'm joined by the fantastic Joe Rockey. Welcome to the show, Joe. All right, Joe.
Thank you for having me. It's going to be exciting.
It is fun. We're going to have fun, and that's what it's all about. As I was mentioning to Joe, you've got 3 lifelines. If you are not sure, very important that you use your lifelines. Otherwise, you will crash and burn very quickly. All right, let's get the first question up. How about we get some music? There we go. I don't know if you can hear that. All right, first question. A type of molecule, cubane, gets its name because its structure resembles a shape with how many sides? A, 11, 6, 2, or 1? Cubane. This one's a bit curly, but think about a cube, I guess, would be my hint for you.
Yeah, when I think of a cube, the first thought I had was 9. And it's not there. The only multiple of 3 on there is 6. So hope I'm not out on the first question.
Let's lock it in. 6 is
all
correct.
Right.
A cube has 6 sides. You're thinking of edges, I think, Joe, but you got there in the end.
Oh, it was. I apologize for that. Yeah.
A tune or song that becomes stuck in one's head is slangily known as what? Earworm, brainworm, mindworm, or melody loop? A tune or song that becomes stuck in your head. What's it known as?
I'm going to say earworm, but that one's definitely before my time.
Well, we're locking it in.
Let's do it.
Without lifelines. Joe doesn't
good.
need lifelines. He's off to a good start. A couple of tough questions to start with. A type of fire-resistant material, Nomex, is often worn by what sports stars? Swimmers, NASCAR drivers, gymnasts, or NFL players?
Go with NASCAR on that. That's where the fire's involved.
I was going to say, if you got this one wrong, I would be very worried about you, Joe. NASCAR is correct. Well done, Joe. Off to a solid start. No problems, no lifelines used. On to the next one. A type of pesticide, molluscusides, are designed to get rid of what slimy creature? Frogs, eels, worms, or snails?
It's got to be worms. Is there anyone not under worms?
Joe, use a lifeline.
Yeah, we'll go see.
Use a lifeline, Joe. Use a lifeline. I'm saving you.
All right, let's use the 50-50 then.
Let's use the 50-50 split.
Oh, well then in that case, if it's a pesticide, we're going to go with snails then.
We're going to go with snails. Woo! That was close. Joe nearly knocked himself out there. With a bit of help, he's still alive. We're going to see how far he can go. A type of clay pottery, terracotta, takes its name from an Italian phrase meaning what? Painted plaster, dried porcelain, baked earth, or brittle stone?
Wow, all of those could describe it.
If you were into gardening, you would know this one.
I probably would. I'm going to assume that it's going to be baked earth because I think they're actually clay on the actual pipes themselves.
Should we lock it in?
Lock it in. All right.
That's a relief. Made it to the $1,000 mark. 1,000 in pretend money, folks.
I remember when Regis used to be hosting it. You'd always be like, how did you not make it to 1,000? And just living in it, very easily you can not make it to 1,000.
The relief there that you're not one of those people who get knocked out early. That's a good thing.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, let's continue on. A unicorn, a ram, and a triceratops have how many horns altogether?
6.
You want to lock it in?
I don't see the options, but that's what I'm going to go with. It's 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I haven't brought the options up. Okay, the options are 2, 4, 6, 8. And you want to lock in 6?
Yeah,
let's do it. 6. That is correct. A unicorn, a ram, and a triceratops have 6 horns in total. Continuing on, this might be an old ad. A wandering technician repeatedly asked, "Can you hear me now?" in a series of ads for what company? Verizon Wireless, AOL, Netflix, or AXS TV, which I think is
I was going to say it was either Verizon or AT&T, and you didn't put AT&T up there, so it's going to be Verizon.
Luckily, there's no AT&T. Let's lock in Verizon.
No, there was only 2 phone carriers back in that time.
That is correct. Well done. So we've had a couple of hairy moments, but Joe is still alive. Let's see how far he can go.
Alive, getting halfway-ish.
A thick type of crusted rectangular pizza is named after what region in Italy? Rome, Florence, Tuscany, or Sicily?
Go with D on that one.
We're going to go with D. What state are you from, Joe?
I'm from Pennsylvania.
Do they have a few Sicilian slices around there?
They do. They do.
Well done. That is correct. Joe could go all the way here. Let's have a look. A US president and an actress from the TV series Golden Girls share what surname? Do you remember that show?
I did. My wife made me fall asleep to every episode of the Golden Girls when she was binging it about 2.5 years ago.
Oh, that's going to help you. So the surnames are Obama, Clinton, Arthur, or Reagan. I don't like that sound, Joe.
No, because the only one I'm thinking of is Blanche, and that ain't it.
Well, the main...
It's been a while.
The main lady, do you know what her name is? She was also...
I don't know what any of the actual names are.
Oh, that's a problem.
So, I know that Betty White was one of them.
Poll the audience, I think, might help you.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to the audience on this, because I have a guess, but I don't know if it's right.
What were you going to guess without
audience.
locking it in? Before I push this button on the lifeline, what were you going to guess?
I'm going to go with one of the... I'd probably be guessing Reagan would be my first. It's either that or Arthur.
All right, well, let's see what the audience says. All right, they're coming in now.
Help me out, guys.
Okay, we've got A, 12% for Obama, B, 18% for Clinton, C, 52% for Arthur, and D, 19% for Reagan. So
we go Arthur then.
The Reagan wasn't too popular. A big lead on Arthur. What would you like to lock in?
I'm going to go with C then. Yeah, we're going to go with the people.
Go with the people. That is correct. The name of the main lady was Bay Arthur. She was also in a show called Maude. I don't know how I know that, but I do. Let's continue on.
Fair enough.
A type of security measure, retinal scanning, identifies people based on unique patterns in their what? Eye, ear, feet, or fingers?
Eye. That one seemed way easier.
That one's ridiculously easy. And I've made a boo-boo there. You are correct. So we're continuing on. I got to do this. I got to do that. There we go. All right, let's forget about that. The correct answer obviously was I. A well-known aphrodisiac, the Spanish fly, is not a fly, but rather a species of what insect? Wasp, ant, worm, or beetle? What the heck is a Spanish fly? Isn't it some sort of aphrodisiac? Have you heard this?
Go with beetle?
You want to go with beetle?
Yeah.
Let's lock it in. Beetle is correct. Oh, Joe is heading up towards the top here. Let's see what he can do. A whetstone is an old-fashioned kitchen device with a hard, flat surface designed to do what? Remove gum, sharpen knives, clean irons, or wash clothes.
Well, I have one of these in my bags to sharpen axes, so it's going to be B.
Sharpen knives. Let's have a look. That is correct. Three questions left. 2 questions left.
Yeah, sorry, we got a chance of this thing.
Joe's going to be in the Hall of Fame. A traditional food for the Japanese New Year, mochi, is a cake primarily made of what ingredient? Wheat, barley, rice, or corn? A traditional Japanese New Year's.
I'm going with rice.
What, you think just because the Japanese, they've got to be rice? Well, that's correct. Well done.
I guess everyone has barley.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they make everything out of rice over there. All right, continuing on. A well-known term for a husband whose wife cheats on him is derived from which of these bird names? Crow, magpie, cuckoo, or pigeon? This is a bit of an inappropriate question. This was actually on the TV show as well.
That's going to be C.
C. It's commonly shortened, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Cuckoo is correct. Okay, hold on to your hats. Joe's on to the final question. A popular treatment in the 1970s that is making a comeback. Rolfing is a sometimes painful method of what? Intense pressure rub down, deep muscle kneading, deep tissue massage, muscle manipulation technique. They're all pretty much similar. Which one?
They are.
Which sounds the most correct? You've actually got one lifeline left, so which way are you leaning towards?
Alrighty. So something that was popular in the 70s that disappeared for a while. So I'm going to go with D.
Tell you what, Joe. I'm not happy with these answers because they're too similar. I don't think it's fair. The answer is actually C. I'm going to give it to you.
There you go. I appreciate that.
Oh my goodness. That's the problem of ChatGPT giving you answers.
Sometimes it is, you know. The AI is going to be good for some things, but not for everything.
Yes, anyway. You did very well, nevertheless. And let's segue into the fabulous Joseph Rockey. And tell us, what are you up to, Joe?
Yeah, so at Elite Business Conversations, we solve 3 main problems for people. You know, the first is going to be business owners that are feeling the lack of control and the stress and the anxiety that comes from not knowing where their next revenue is coming from. And that is a completely stressful and irritating moment. And at Elite Business Conversations, we help those business owners see the control enter back into their life. The second main group that we help are those that look around and they're just like, why is no one knowing what I do? I don't know what they do. We're supposed to have a system here that is supposed to be followed and used, but it never is. At Elite Business Conversations, we actually leave clients with a solution that is simple enough that everyone will follow, yet detailed enough that it will last the test of time. And as the third thing that we do is we help those business owners that have heard those last 2 statements and they feel regret in their heart. Because at the end of the day, they would rather move on to their next opportunity, whether it be retirement, another business, or what have you, and leave the business they have behind. As a result, the sacrifice that they have put into making this business, their clients and their employees all essentially end up being in a spot where they're left out. And at Elite Business Conversations, we help honor that sacrifice by having your business keep growing and lasting, even after you're gone. And that's one of the great joys that we have there. So those are the three things that we do at Elite Business Conversation. I see that you got the website up there. And that's us, Joe Rockey at Elite Business Conversations. And one of the joys is you can go to any single page on the site and click a button, and we will be there.
Awesome. And who's your main type of business that you work with? Are you working with new businesses or established businesses? Would you say, are you working with salespeople? Because I know you do a lot of sales training. Who's your primary?
Yeah, it's typically businesses that are at a point when the business owner is kind of thinking, I don't really have the same passion for this as I did when I started. Something has shifted, that this isn't the primary thing that I want it to be anymore. And it's time to figure out how to fix that. Sometimes the solution is we just fix the sales department or the culture. Sometimes is we build a system where the business owner isn't there anymore. And it all depends upon where we're at. So we're talking about businesses that are getting to that point where the owners are, it's not what it was supposed to be. It's not what I want it to be anymore, and I'm ready to move on. Once you've kind of had those kind of thoughts starting to enter into your brain, that's when it's time to reach out to us.
And who is it that normally reaches out? Is it the CEO usually?
Yeah, it's normally the owner, or typically either his wife or daughter tends to be who actually ends up reaching out to us, because they see that it is the relationship with the business has shifted. They no longer like it as much. It's more of a drag. And at the end of the day, the sacrifices were normally done for the family. And when it goes from the business is helping the family to now the business is hurting it, that's normally, like I said, the people who call us up to say, hey, come help us with dad's business. It's time for him to move on and be with us. Help him get out of it. And like I said, that's what we do in a way that honors all, like I said, the clients, the sacrifices they made, and the customers. And then obviously the employees as well. I mean, I think that's my favorite part, is being able to look at a room of employees and say, you guys still have a job because I was able to help you out. Because if not, this business would have just been shut down and y'all would be unemployed.
What most of the time in that case, do you find that the owner needs to step out and or do they get a new lease on life? What happens most of the time in that situation?
Well, certainly both happen, but the majority of the time is that the owner is already mentally checked out, and now it's time for me to help him physically get out. So that's typically how it ends up. And like I said, we do it in a way where it's going to honor all the sacrifice and the effort that's already been put into the business, that it moves on. Because we're not a broker in the traditional sense, and we're just going to put a listing sign in front of you. We actually come in with a very detailed strategy that covers every single step, going from, is there an element that's not correct with this business, all the way through the owner doesn't need to be here. Whether they're still the owner or not, that is a different question, but they don't need to be on site anymore. They don't need to be doing, regardless how much time they're doing. We've had owners that were here 80 hours a week, and we have owners here that were 3 hours a week. And we've made it so that neither of which has to happen anymore. They can be completely autonomous and wherever they want to be on this planet and not be involved in their business. And that's really kind of where the help that we come from and give people in a really real way.
So
like I said, we've healed so many lives, it's not even funny.
Yep. So you're preparing the business for an exit, for the owner to be able to exit while keeping the business alive. What are sort of
and then actually executing the exit as well.
And what, sorry?
And then executing the exit as well. There's very few companies that will do both. Like you can go out and find 1 million consultants that will help your business run better in whatever their specialty is. You'll also be able to go out and find a number of brokers that basically would just put a for sale sign in front of your yard and list it on the market, the same as a real estate agent would. There's very few people that do both, and we are one of those specialty firms that do.
Okay, and what can people expect? What is the process? What are the sort of 4 or 5 things that need to be fixed? And how long does the process take from I need help to, yay, I'm retired?
Well, that's going to be dependent upon what the current situation is. Unfortunately, there is no status. How long will it take answer? The process is the same, though. And this is independent of any industry. This is the process. It starts with identifying what is the actual goal and where is the business right now relative to that. So, because we customize everything. So if the goal is really, I want to still own it, but I only want to be involved from an outside perspective where I collect a check, that's a different process than I'm just selling the thing outright altogether. But to give you the high level type steps, it's, if you weren't here, does every single person in this company know what to do, and are they compensated accordingly? We fix that problem first. The next step is, who is actually going to be in charge once you aren't here? What are the characteristics of your company, your values that need to carry through? Identifying those values, getting them clear throughout the company is the second step. The third step, then it all builds off each other. The third step is then going off of, once we have the values in place, who is the best to lead in that example through these values for this company? We install that person. Step 4 is going to be then to empower them and also depower the current owner. That part's fun. The owner has to leave the company outright for at least 3 weeks with zero connection or communication with it. It's in that phase that we really test this, because you're going to find out if you want to be retired or not. There's a lot of owners we've had that say they want to be retired until about day 10 of not having any connection with their business. And like I said, that's where the rubber meets the road. Either I'm totally cool just sitting here on the beach, or I need to get back into it. But either way, at that point, we know the answer, because it is really, really hard to sell your business and then get back into it. So we give people essentially a very important tryout. And then for the business itself during that time, we're walking through with the company without the owner in it and making sure it's going to work and seeing where any pitfalls are. If you've ever watched any of the business recreation shows, that's literally what we do. This is the test run. And then step 5 is actual implementation, the moving to the next ownership group, which can take a bajillion different looks. But those are the 5 high-level steps in which we do, all which, like I said, they get broken down into a very detailed system. But that's what it is. And then when the business is done, it's completely value-driven. Every person knows what they're doing. They're compensated only based upon what they're doing. And at the end of the day, it's really industry agnostic in terms of who is going to be the end buyer when it's all said and done.
I really like the 3-week sort of test run where, the owner can feel, okay, this is getting real. What percentage of people go through with it after going through that, and what percentage of people go, maybe I don't want to sell this?
Well, so what we find out is really the truth. Is was the problem I don't want to be here anymore, or was the problem I don't want to own it anymore? Because a lot of them that I end up showing up with are, I was doing 80 hours a week and it's killing my life. And there's a number of guys that just say, you know what, maybe I don't want to be the shot caller anymore, but now that you've built a business that works without me having to be here, or you just proven it, I want to stay on board. And then it's just to what fashion does that look like? And of that group, it's probably about 20%, because the reality is a lot of people, once they're there, they realize, I'm going to get paid a whole lot of money not to come back. I think I'd rather just do that, because that's the other element. I mean, you're going to get paid for selling your business here. And there's a lot of people that just say, you know what, it's okay. And we've done this for all different types, whether it be people who have built up their own business, whether it be people who bought into a franchise, really pretty much any way you can structure an origination of a business. When it's time to think about, I don't have the same passion for it as we did in the beginning, that's when I should be having conversations with you. And like I said, it all starts with the conversation. I don't charge people for the initial chats, and you can find those all on our website that you got here on your screen at Elite Businesses Conversations.
What's your TV show all about, Joe?
So the TV show was actually an extension of this. We got recruited to make it. I have made another podcast of my own called Father and Joe since 2017. And that's all about relationships, starting with the relationship you have with yourself, with the relationship you have with others, all underneath the umbrella of the relationship you have with God. So long story short, this guy who owns a network ended up listening to some of our shows, liked them. I didn't even know I was applying for this, by the way. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you make a business show for me?" And that's how Elite Business Conversations, the TV show, was born. And because of his network, we're syndicated across 43 million or 43 countries and 55 million households. And that number keeps growing. So it's something that we're very excited for. And the original show, season 1, will be debuting here in February. So I'm very excited for that.
Wow. So that hasn't debuted yet?
It hasn't thrown off. It's actually one of these things that, those guys are great. That they do all of the editing. I'm responsible for finding the guests and filming it, which was a daunting task at first to figure out. But now that we have gotten on top of the system and the process, we're halfway through the year already, and I can actually kind of go on a little bit of an autopilot break from that for the time being. I think we've filmed almost 30, 40 episodes, and out of 52. We can go on a little pause for a minute.
That's going to be huge once that starts getting out there, Joe. Like the effect that's going to have on your business is going to be humongous.
Absolutely, and it's also going to be on Amazon and Roku, so it basically will live forever, assuming I do the show right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'll keep an eye out for that. And if you are out there and you are in the middle of things with your business and you're thinking, how do I get out of here? I need to change something. Have a chat to Joe, elitebusinessconversations.com. If you go there, it's in the description and show notes. You can book a call with Joe himself if he's got time in between everything else he's doing. And
if not, you'll get a member of my staff. You'll get one of us.
Somebody will talk to you. Awesome. So thank you, Joe, for coming on. That was great.
Well, thank you for having me. Sorry I didn't do better on your trivia.
Hey, you did fantastic. And thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon.